मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। So today we will chant 10 verses. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Modhamate, Samprapte Sannihite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukrim Karane. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Modhamate, Modhajahi dhanagam Trishnam kuru satbuddhim Manasi vitrishnam yalabhase nijakarmopatam Vittam tena vino dayachittam. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Modhamate. Nari stana bharanabhi desham drishtva maga mohavesham etanaman savasa divikaram Manasi vichintaya varam varam. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Modhamate. Nalini dalagata jalamati taralam Tattvajjivitam atishaya chapalam Vidhi vyadhyapimanagrastam Lokam shokahatam cha samastam. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Modhamate. Yavat pavano nivasati dehe tavat Shati kushalam gehe gatavati vayo deha paye bharya bipyati tasmin kaye. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Modhamate. Balastavat क्रीडा सक्तः तरुणस्तावत् तरुणी सक्त वृद्धस्तावत् चिन्तासक्त परमे ब्रह्मणि कोऽपि न सक्त. भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते. काते कान्ता कस्ते पुत्रः संसारोऽयमति विचित्र कस्य त्वं कुत आयात तत्त्वं चिन्तय तदिह भ्रात. भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते. सत्सङ्गत्वे निस्सङ्गत्वे Satyatvam Nisangatve Nirmohatvam Nirmohatve Nischalatatvam Nischalatatve Jivanamukti Bhaj Govindam Bhaj Govindam Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate Vayasi Gate Ka Kama Vikara Shushke Nire Kakasara Kshine Vitte Ka Parivaro Gyate Tatve Kah Samsara Bhaj Govindam Bhaj Govindam Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate. In the last class, we did verse number 9, which is the most important verse probably in Bhaj Govindam. Satsangatve nisangatvam, nisangatve nirmohatvam, nirmohatve nischalatatvam, nischalatatve jivan mukti. We discussed satsang, in detail. We elaborated on it. Before we go to verse number 10, a little bit on nisangatvam, that is detachment. What is detachment? Does detachment mean moving away from everyone and everything? And how do we know whether we are attached or we are detached? So the key thing here is when we take objects into consideration, it means that there is no slavish dependency upon objects. We may have them for our functional needs. We cannot avoid that, but there will be no slavish dependency, and we will not get our self-esteem or self-worth from our possessions and objects that we have. And when do we get that? When we start looking at objects as me, as mine. And once we get that feeling that this object is mine, then what also comes is, I have to preserve it. There is an anxiety of losing it. There is, anxiety for fear of losing, anxiety of protection, and sadness when lost. So these things happen because of our dependency on the object. And the way to reduce this attachment or dependency is through charity. That is why charity is a big thing in all religions. So what do we do in charity? The main objective of charity is to let go of our attachments. That is why we donate generously. But nowadays, what happens when we give charity, we want our name to go with it. Or, if we give it in memory of someone, that is entirely different. But, we want that plaque there and our attachment to that plaque. So that we have to be very careful that in charity also, are we bringing attachment into our lives? When we give out of joy, we, it is a sadhana or a practice by which we overcome attachment. That is why even when we do all our ritualistic yagnas, we will say, idam indraya swaha, idam namama. This is for Indra, it is not mine. Whatever offering we make, we do it to the Lord and we say it is not mine. Or when we are finished, when we finish our ritualistic worship, then we say Om Tat Sat Brahmarpanamastu. We offer it to the Lord. These are all ways of overcoming attachment with objects. The other areas where we get attached is with people, with our relation, wherever we have our relationships. Now we have to recognize that the relationship should be loving, and in loving relationship, the beloved becomes important, the other person becomes important. In attachment, I become important. So, if I observe that constantly I'm noticing shortcomings in the other person, I love you so much, have no time for me. I care so much for you, but you are fully consumed, with your work. Whatever it is, we are finding little, nitpicking and finding faults. Faults appear thick when love becomes thin. For the person who loves, the other person is, most important, and everything will be done out of love. Now, here also there must be clarity that when you love somebody, it does not mean that you do not have right action in life. We must be, in loving, there is also forgiving. And that aspect is beautifully shown in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, or in the life of Arjuna. Arjuna collapsed on the battlefields of Kurukshetra. Why did he collapse? Because of his attachment to Bhishma and Drona. He could face anyone. He was a mighty soldier, but he collapsed in the presence of these two people. And what was he not able to do? Right action. Attachment takes us away from right action. There was love in their relationship, which we can see, because they were willing to settle for, they didn't want the entire kingdom, which was rightfully theirs. They said they will settle for half the kingdom. Then they negotiated, kept on negotiating, 5 villages, 1 village, 5 houses, ultimately 1 house. And Duryodhan said that I will not even give you land which is the size of the tip of a needle. So then the fight became inevitable, and the fight was for dharma, for right cause. They were the true rulers. They had to lead the people. If they allowed Duryodhan to remain in power, that would mean that they allowed Adharma to lead the subjects as well. So as Kshatriyas, they had to take charge and bring leadership, the right type of leadership. That was the right action. So they had forgiven inside, but fighting outside, that is the right action. So this, we have to be very clear that in our relationships also, they have to be loving. That does not take us away from right action. And detachment equals love. It is not moving away from people. It is giving freedom to those whom we love. And love is the key to move in the direction of spirituality. There is this young student who wants to become a monk, and he goes to a master. And the master asks the student, have you ever loved? Have you loved your father? Have you loved your mother? Have you loved your brother? And the monk, this young student, he wants to show that he is detached. He says, I have, no love for anyone. And the master tells him, then go and love first. Only then will you, be fit for spirituality. So that is very important. Then detachment with situations. We have to accept them as they come. We should not insist on getting, things just as we want them to be in life. And whatever comes, we have to we have to be cheerful under all circumstances. We have to accept. So when it comes to accepting it, we have to also recognize that when we take, that brings in the 4th aspect of detachment, which is work. We do work and we expect results. So we cannot start work without expecting a result. But whatever is the result, we must learn to accept it. And we must, when we start our work, we have to remember to focus on our niyat karma, which means our obligatory duties. They cannot be compromised at any cost. We must perform all our obligatory duties to the best of our abilities, no compromise. So when we work in this way, then we will bring detachment into our lives. And not only will we bring detachment, we will fill our lives with love. So, and this is the best way to surrender in love and not be insistent, have no insistence whatsoever. Spirituality is about rising over our attachments and our emotions and maintaining objectivity. So that is, the main aspect of detachment, which we should be very clear about. Now, the next verse number 10, another beautiful verse that talks about, gives us different analogies and explains how a person who is Jivan Mukta, who is liberated while living here. There's no looking for liberation in death. It is liberation right here now. And beautiful cause and effect relationship is given. So they've given 3 analogies. Vayasi gateka kama vikara. When youthfulness has passed, age, he's talking about when vayasi gate. See, so when the age has gone, where is lust and its play? That is only when one is youthful. Shushke nire ka kasara. When the waters have dried, where is the lake? The lake no longer exists. Kshine vitte ka parivara. When your wealth is gone, where are all your relatives and relations? Gyate tatve kaha samsara. Once you are established or you come to know the truth, when it is realized, where is this samsara? Samsara is this world, this realm of change, constantly changing, and us going through ups and downs in this changing world. So he says, once you know the eternal truth, where is this samsara? So while living here, be established in the truth. So this verse explains the relationship between cause and effect. We have not done self-unfoldment. Some of you have read it, but for those of you who have not read the book Self-Unfoldment, just a little introduction to cause and effect. Whatever we see is an effect. Excuse me. Sorry for a little disturbance. Somebody has come to do some work in the house. So he says the cause and effect is what we were talking about. If we see an effect, there must be a cause. Just for example, earrings, bangles, bracelets, chain, necklace, whatever we see, the cause of all that is gold. If you take the cause away from the effect, even the effect is gone. So, one of the Swamijis used to joke. He says, you keep all your earrings, you keep your chain, you keep your necklace, give me the gold. They will not exist. So, as long as the cause is there, if you take the cause away from the effect, then even the effect goes. So what is the cause of samsara is ignorance. So once we come to know the real truth, then even the samsara falls away. Now, when we say samsara, what does it mean? Going through ups and downs in life, going through different, feeling incomplete, always seeking for relief of something. Now, if we think of that in those terms, excuse me, I have something irritating me today.
That corner was the one, but before.
So, we are anxious, we have physical problems, we have fear. All these are part of samsara, and they affect us immensely. And how do we find relief? Our techniques of relief is going to a spa if we are mentally agitated. And what happens when we go to the spa? Beautiful, quiet atmosphere, soft music playing, lamps are lit around. The whole atmosphere is such that it does relax us and calm us down. And that lasts how long? As long as we are there. So all the methods that we employ are relief methods. We are not going to the cause of the problem. If say we get angry, we learn how to manage anger, and then we are told that you count up to 10 or take a punching bag and punch the bag and you will be able to manage your anger. But these are all relief mechanisms. They will not give us cure. If we want to, so what is wrong? Why do I need a cure? I'm able to manage and handle these situations. Well, if that is what we want, but if we analyze what is it we are really looking for, we are looking for a permanent cure or a permanent solution. How can we say that our demand is for permanency? Because we want permanent health. We want permanent wealth. We want permanent loving relationships. Whatever we are looking at, we want permanent freedom from sorrow and suffering. We don't say 5 days without suffering will do. No, whatever we are looking for is for permanent, which means our demand is for the permanent. And hence these relief mechanisms will not do. And until I go through, do not get this knowledge of my true self, I will only be finding band-aid solutions. So gyate tatve kaha samsara. Then there is, the torment of this changing world. And then no matter what comes in life, one will remain joyful. That does not mean that, one will give up everything and one has to give up everything. That is one of the things that people feel, that a Jivan Mukta does not care about having anything. Whatever is their lifestyle, it will continue. We used to have, our masters used to be kings. They, the Brahmarshis and Maharshis and Rajarishis, they were householders, they were kings, they were people from all walks of life. So what has to be given up is that attachment inside with the ego, I-ness. And when that is given up and I'm established in my true self, the cycle of ups and downs will go from my life and I will remain ever free and blissful. So what is it that causes this, ups and downs in our life? Again, the effect, the effect is ups and downs, fear, anxiety, worry. This is, sorrow, sadness, suffering. This is what we want. That is the effect. What is the cause of it? The cause of all this is attachment. Attachment, again, what does it lead to? It takes whatever we are attached to, that is the direction the mind will go in. And when the mind goes in that direction, mind starts brooding. It has all these, fanciful imaginations, which is called sankalpas. And, keeps thinking, about it. And then as much as the thought flow, if something comes, we had, mentioned that verse from the second chapter of Gita, Dhyayato Vishayan Punsa. The more you think about it, the flow of your thoughts towards that object or what, person, it is strengthened. And that strong flow of thought, if something interrupts the flow of thought in between, the thought flow gets deflected. That is what expresses as anger. And the entire range of it, from a mild irritation to a fit of rage. If what we want is fulfilled, we keep getting it, then we get greedy. As we obtain more and more, we get arrogant. And in arrogance, we have this big image of who we are. And, so we get deluded about our identity. And in that delusion, then we lose the idea of what is right and what is wrong. And that leads to our downfall and destruction. So this is the whole cause is attachment. Saying, take that attachment out. When you take that attachment out, you will come to know your real self, because it is only in a quiet mind that we will come to realize who we are, and we will know our essential nature. And having known our essential nature, once we know who we are, we will be established in the truth. Jnate tatve, then where is this samsara? So that doesn't mean that this, samsara will change. Beautiful example is that of Swami Vivekananda. When Swami Vivekananda's father had angered a judge, and who removed him from his position, and from all, as a result of all the wealth that they had in the family was lost. And they were an extremely wealthy family that lived in great luxury. That family, the father was so shocked with everything gone, and having no means to feed all the members of the family, that he died of a heart attack. Vivekananda's sister committed suicide because she was, going hungry so frequently. That was such a difficult time in his life. And it was when he was going through all this that he, of course, came across Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, who inspired him, and he was mentally, at that time as Narendra, he was quite tormented. But then he, having met Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, and he, was established in knowledge of the truth, and he was Swami Vivekananda. He was not that big Swami that we all know today. He was just another, Swami in India. And there are so many Swamis who may be masters and who are not known. And he used, he had to go hungry. He never got attention from people. When he came to United States also, until he spoke at the Parliament of Religion, he was hardly known. There were many days he went without food, he went hungry. And what he did at that time, he kept chanting mantras from Kathopanishad, and he maintained his cheerful, blissful self. So those challenges, and then when he became such a great, well-known Swami world, he was not a changed person. He was as blissful as he was when he was going hungry. And this is the reason we talk about being established in the truth. Now, also, earlier, I should have mentioned to you, there are different techniques by which we do get established in the truth. And what we do in trying to be established in the truth is we use Band-Aid solutions I was mentioning. And these things are so beautifully described in our stories. For example, Ravana had 10 heads. You cut one head off and the other head replaces it. So if we address anger, anxiety comes. If we address anxiety, fear comes, because we are only addressing the symptom. We are not addressing the root cause. So then Vibhishana tells Lord Rama to hit the arrow in his navel. That is where the Amrita Kalasha is. That is where you will hit the very cause of this problem, and you will kill Ravana. Or the other story of Rakta Bija, the demon Rakta Bija, who was killed by, I think, Kali Mata or Devi, we can say. So when Rakta Bija was killed, wherever a drop of his blood fell, a demon would manifest. So what did Devi ultimately do? She took out her tongue and did not, lick every drop of blood that fell, so that that came out, so that it would not fall on the ground and allow another demon to manifest. So these stories express that this battle against our negativities has to be fierce, with aggressive goodness. It is, until we know what these stories are about, we cannot come to fully appreciate them. We have grown up on these stories that give us the path of how we can come to be established in this truth. And once we are, established, then there is no samsara, no ups and downs. So we feel that often we go to these satsangas and spiritualities to handle the effect, Band-Aid solution. No, spirituality will take us to the root cause and get us to remove the root cause. So we no longer have any afflictions in this lifetime. So with that, we will stop. I think we still have a few minutes. We will say the concluding prayers, and if then anybody has questions, or we can meet. Ooh. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. Sarve santu niramayah.
No, lo so, stavo cercando di
Prani pashyantu ma kaschid dukha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
We have 3 minutes left exactly.
Okay. Anybody?
Well, I think Bhuma had some problem.
Yeah, Bhuma?
Bhuma had some problem.
Bhuma had
What
some
happened?
problem, or Bhuma is problem?
Video sonoring.
Hello.
Amna સંભળાય છે. We can hear you.
I tried to leave reading of the Meena because I had a technical problem with mute.
Now it is okay.
Now it's okay. Very last minute. Only I listened to sloka. The closing prayer.
Anyway, it is good to see you, Bhuma. We
Yeah,
missed
thank
you.
you. After a long time.
Good to see you.
Yeah. I missed 3 Saturday.
I know. That's
But
all.
what to do?
Recording is on the YouTube. You can watch it.
Yes. કેમ છો બધા મજામાં?
We are all fine.